Mrs. R here. Welcome back to Mrs. R's Art Room. So winter is upon us, and there are going to be a lot of cold days coming up when it's just too cold, frankly, to go outside. So I've come up with a project that you can do right at your kitchen table, and you really don't need a lot of supplies. And I really hope you enjoy it. It's going to be a 3D pop-up snowflake card. Have a look. The great news with this project is that you can use some basic supplies that you can find around your house. What we need today is 4 pieces of printer paper, 1 piece of cardstock or construction paper, an old paintbrush, a pencil, glue, glitter, and scissors. If you have tacky glue or craft glue, that might work a little bit better than traditional Elmer's or school glue. The first thing you're going to want to do is get your 4 sheets of printer paper out and your 1 sheet of cardstock. And you're going to fold that cardstock in half, making sure the corners are lined up. The next thing we're going to do is take 1 sheet of our printer paper and our scissors. We're going to fold the printer paper. We're going to take the corner closest to you, and you're going to fold it up until it meets the edge of the paper. You want to make sure that way down here in the corner that you get that corner to fold in half. Okay, line it right up along the edge, and we're just going to press and make a really nice fold. Once you have that fold, we're going to fold it along this edge because we actually want to cut this piece off. This is extra paper. So what I'm going to do is turn my paper over and make a fold that runs right along the edge of where I folded the paper on the other side. Can you see that? Then I just open it up and I want to trim that extra paper off. We don't need that. Now we know the paper started out as a rectangle. But when I get rid of that extra piece, look at that, I've got a square, and that's what we want. So after we get our square, and it's folded once, watch this, friends, we're going to fold the triangle 1 more time along the long edge. See that? Make sure that your points are matching on both sides. You want to get this as exact as you can. Okay? This project is kind of like origami. Okay, we've got our second fold. Guess what? We're going to do it again. We're going to make our 3rd fold. Here we go. And if you're having trouble because the paper's getting thick right here, I oftentimes will just put my fingernail right on that point and fold it right over my fingernail because that helps to keep it nice and sharp. And then I fold it. Now this part, you could think this is a little tricky, so pay attention. Now I'm going to take one of these short sides, the short side closest to me, and I'm going to fold that short side. Here's my fingernail holding that corner down. I'm going to fold it in until it touches the long edge. See that? I'm pushing it. Paper's getting thick, so it gets a little tricky. All right, now this little triangle that's left, this is extra. We're going to cut that right off. Watch this. Look at that. All right, see that? All right, we are ready to make our snowflake. You need to do this process 4 times. You're going to use each of those sheets of printer paper and make one of these so that in the end you have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this is the fun part. Now we get to make our snowflakes. However long this piece is, that's half of the diameter of your snowflake. So if you want it to be a smaller snowflake, you're just going to cut this piece a little bit smaller. Keep in mind, the smaller you make it, the more difficult it is to cut because you don't have a lot of room to make your pattern. So for the purposes of our project, I'm going to keep it this size because it's pretty easy to cut this way. Now I'm going to cut along the top edge first and then along the folded edge. See this? So we're going to go the top edge and then the fold. For my top edge, I think I want to make some points. So I'm just going to cut my points. See that? When you're cutting and you're cutting into a triangle like I'm going to do, the trick is to overcut the second cut mark. Let me show you. So I made this cut mark. Now I'm going to put the paper all the way into the tightest part of my scissors, and I'm going to cut just slowly past where I just cut. That will allow the extra pieces to fall right out. If you don't overcut, they're liable to get stuck in there. Keep that in mind whenever you're cutting a triangular shape. Now I don't want to cut my fingers, so I'm certainly not going to cut into it this way. I'm going to flip the paper over and always cut away from me. See that? I'm flipping it, and now I'm making this other cut. I'm going to overcut and cut away. See how they just fall out? It takes a lot of control with your scissors. My last cut, I'm just going to cut that edge off. Now I'm going to the folded part, remember? Now we're going to cut along that. Whatever pattern or design you want to make, it's entirely up to you. I am going to start cutting some triangles in here. I'm going to cut a big one, being careful to overcut so that it falls out. That was a nice cut. And now I'm going to cut a smaller one. And you may have other ideas. Maybe you have a favorite way that you like to make your snowflakes. Whatever you design is absolutely wonderful. Remember, you can't be wrong in art. Art is fun, and it's an expression of you. And now, if you cut the tip of your shape like this, it'll make a star when you open it up. That's just a little tip. Now that I have that section cut, I'm now going to cut the side, the open side, okay? And just so that it's interesting, I'm going to cut in between my other cuts. Keep in mind, the more cuts you make, the more fragile your snowflake is going to be. All right, look at that. Oh, I didn't overcut. Case and point. Here we go. I have to go back in there. The inside of my scissors, just give a little bit of tension and get that to cut. It doesn't want to cut for me. See, it won't only be you, it's me too. All right, so here is one of my pieces. It kind of looks like a lightning bolt, doesn't it? All right, so I'm going to do this 4 times. The trick is to do exactly what you've done on your first piece on your other 3 pieces, okay? We want to make this look like one snowflake. So if you need to, you can take your pencil and you can even trace it once you've cut your shape. Just be sure you have your sides correct. You can trace right onto this other triangle where your cuts need to be. And that might be a good idea. I've done this a whole bunch of times, so I can kind of eyeball it, but if you're new to this, you might want to actually trace it. See that? Then I know right where to cut. Okay, I'm going to check back with you as soon as I get all mine cut. Now that I've cut out all 4 of my snowflakes, we're going to choose one and we're going to open it completely. Hopefully we love our design. Oh, look at that. Pretty cool, huh? So our first job is to get our cardstock and open that up. And we're going to find the middle of one of these patterns. See that? And we're going to fold our snowflake in half. Really crease that down because that is going to be laid right into the crease of our cardstock. Like this. All right. Now don't worry if it overlaps your paper a little bit. It's okay. It's okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to turn our snowflake over. And I hope you remember the rule you learned when you were little when it comes to gluing things. What's that rule? Dot, dot, not a lot. And that's what we're going to do. On everywhere you see a seam, you're going to put a dot of glue. Just a little dot. Remember, you don't have a lot of space, and if you put too much glue, it's going to ooze right out from underneath and it's going to ruin the effect. Okay, so just little bits. Dot, dot, not a lot. We're getting there. It's kind of like turning a wheel. Then I'm going to put a couple on the inside here for stability because we really don't want that popping up. So we're going to do a bunch in the middle. And I might do a couple out here in the positive space around the edges. Again, just dots though, okay folks? We're not going to put big globs. All right, now that I have my glue dots, I'm going to bring in my cardstock. I'm going to find my center, and I'm going to lay it right out there. See that? Now I know it's nice and centered, and I'm just going to press. There we go. See? That's our background. Even just that's pretty. Look at that. I really like that. All right, we're going to set that aside and let it dry. Now that we have the background complete, we're going to open up one of our other snowflakes and we're going to find one section. See that? One section. And we're going to cut it out. Just like this. Okay. Set that piece aside. We aren't going to need that. Then we're going to take our glue and we're going to put some glue dots on one of the sections that was to the right of it. Dot, dot, not a lot. Not going to put a ton on. Now watch this. We're going to fold our snowflake in so that it goes right on top of that section. You see that? The holes pretty much line up. It's okay if they're off a little bit. We don't have to be perfect, but this is the effect. All right? Now we're going to do that to these two as well. Now that I have all three of my snowflakes glued together, I'm going to take each one and fold them gently in half. See that? They fold right down. And now if you were to look at them, you would see you have three sections to each one. Section 1, Section 2, and Section 3. Now what we're going to do is we're going to glue our snowflakes together. So you're going to take one snowflake, get your glue, and on the left-hand side of your middle section, you're going to put a dot of glue. Are we going to use a lot? No. And then we're going to put one more toward the middle and one more toward the bottom. Okay? Then you're going to take one of your other snowflakes, line up the holes, and hold it in place, pressing right on top where you put those glue drops. When you feel like it's tacky and you can let go, we're going to take our glue again, and we're going to put 3 more drops of glue, this time on the right-hand side of that middle section. And we're going to lay our remaining piece on top of that. Again, line up the holes as best you can and press and hold it in place. If you're using tacky glue, it won't take as long as Elmer's glue. If you're using Elmer's glue, hold it a little bit longer. We have our snowflakes glued together now, and that's great. What we're going to do is we're going to put it on top of our background and make sure that the centers line up, like so. Then we're going to take our glue and we're going to find the middle section of the snowflakes that we just glued together, and we're going to put enough glue dots that it won't unstick when we glue it down. Hopefully you can see that. I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to line it up in the middle, and I'm going to press it down. There you go. Again, you want to hold it. If you're wondering, I would hold it maybe for a count of 10 to 15 seconds if you're using tacky glue. While you're holding it in place, you can glue the same way on this side. So you're going to do middle section only, glue dots. Okay? And then we're going to close the card. Hold it down, don't let go. Hold it down and close the card. Okay, and just press. Now I hope, while I'm holding this, I'm just going to remind you, I hope you didn't throw out all those scraps that we had from cutting, because we're going to use the scraps that we had to make an interesting background on the card once it's all done. Okay, I'm going to check my work. Let's see. Hopefully I've held it long enough and I've pressed it hard enough. You know, you can always do the trick that I did at the beginning to make your seam really nice. You can just sort of run the side of that pencil down and really crease it well. That makes it open even smoother. Here we go. Look at that. Look at that. Our snowflake worked. Yay! Right. Now, if it's a little wobbly, you can always add a little glue underneath some of these sections to get it to really pop up. But we did it. Look at that, guys. So now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of these little triangles that I had from before. Remember, we cut these out like that? Well, I hate to waste anything. I really enjoy working in paper, and I find that you can usually utilize some of these extra pieces that you have, and that's just what I'm going to do now. I'm going to put a couple glue dots on the background of my card, not big ones, and then I'm going to take some of these triangles, and these are going to be pretend snowflakes. It's going to look as if they're way in the background, right? And because I have different sizes, I'm not going to put all the same size together. I think I'll spread these around a little bit. These are my bigger ones. But you use your judgment on where you would like to put yours. You can also just paint dots if you don't want to do this. Really, you guys use your imagination. I wish I could see everything that you're going to do, because I know you have such a great imagination. I'm going to put some of these on. I'm looking for some of my smaller ones right now to show that you can do different sizes. Here's a nice small one. And you want to turn them in different directions, because you know, when snow falls, it doesn't always fall in the same direction. You can even put some flat ones on there if you want. If you don't want any, if you want some to be not 3D, put some flat ones on. That'll give it some neat dimension too. Here I go over to this side, put a little flat one on there, maybe a flat one down there, one more over here. It's really neat if you can watch how the shadows play on some of your folded pieces like that. It gives it a whole other tone. So there you have it. What do you think? Now you might think, well, I like it, but it really needs sparkle. So that's where our glitter comes in. Remember, we have glitter? All right, the next phase is going to be glitter. This is quite possibly my favorite part of this project. If you have glitter and you would like to decorate it, I recommend getting an old paintbrush and some glue that you can dip the paintbrush into, and then take some of your favorite color glitter. I'm using clear glitter right now, and I'm just going to sprinkle it on the inside. See where I painted that? Isn't that neat? And then just to get the excess off, I'm going to tip it and shake, because I don't like to waste any of my glitter. And I'm going to keep going like that until I have all the glitter on there that I want. Here we are. It's done. Don't you love it? Look at that. So cool. All right, everybody, enjoy your winter. Be happy and be artful.